What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Family, friends, enemies, foes, and all y'all that's out there. What's going on? How you doing? For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Clyde Rush. This is the Light Body Podcast, and I'm happy to have you here. Listen, right off the bat, don't forget to like and subscribe if this is the first time that you're actually here. I appreciate it. This is what is supposed to be said out here, to like and subscribe. And don't forget to comment. If there's something that you want to hear or something that I said that might have sparked some curiosity in you or something along those lines, post a comment. I'll get back to you. Definitely. It may take a day, it may take two, but I will definitely get back to you. All right. I appreciate you being here because I know you can be anywhere in the world besides being in this place right now. So I appreciate you spending a little bit of time here with me doing this podcast today. Listen, we're going to talk about something that's very dear and near to my heart, and that is beliefs. I'm talking about beliefs. I'm talking about truth. I'm talking about the process of what beliefs actually are. How do we actually get, and how did I even get to this state of belief that I actually have in myself? I mean, of course, we've all gone through our challenges, our struggles, our strains, things that we thought were possible for us that we really didn't think were possible for us, which never really manifests itself because we didn't think it was possible for us, but we didn't necessarily understand that what we thought actually creates. What you think about, you bring about. I know I'm jumping right in because this is like one of those hot topics. Okay, so again, we are going to talk about beliefs. We are going to talk about pretty much not how they're formed per se, because you should know how beliefs are actually formed. But I'm going to give you some information that may be a little bit different, a little bit untraditional to what you may be accustomed to either hearing or may have heard. But I do want to give you something that's practical that you can actually use that can help you get from where you are to having a greater degree of belief in yourself. Okay. I know years ago when I first started this comprehension of understanding what beliefs really were, how to actually create the life it is that I truly dream about, and how to create that manifestation in this realm that we actually live in. All right. So I've always known, I won't say always, but for the long period of time, I knew that there were principles that govern the universe that we live in. I didn't necessarily know how they operated. I just knew that there were principles that govern the universe that we live in. And in order to get to the belief that I had, I wanted to really understand how these principles govern this universe. And the reason why it was important for me to understand how the principle govern the universe, because a principle is a basic truth that's going to produce a result, no matter who it is that you are. All right. And all I wanted was the results. It didn't make a difference about being a male or female or the gender or color of your skin or anything along those lines, because the basic principle is going to operate the same way, no matter who operates what that principle is. You're going to get the same outcome. So today, again, I'm going to talk about what some of those principles are. Metaphysical principles, metaphysical laws are basically what it is I'm going to govern. And I'm going to speak about that. So let's just right off the bat, let's go with this metaphysical laws. In various philosophical, spiritual, and New Age contexts, they refer to non-physical principles believed to govern the universe and human existence, okay? These laws are thought to influence our lives and reality and the universe at large, beyond the tangible and measurable laws of science. Now, here's the deal where science comes in. Science says it has to be repeatable, it has to be predictable, and it's got to be the same way no matter who's actually operating or governing what this law actually is. So this is where science actually comes into play. Science says it has to be the same thing every single time. No variations, no subtle differences, no subtle sameness, the exact same thing in order to make something scientific. All right. So here are some key metaphysical laws often discussed. Now, when I mention some of these things to you, you're going to say, I know I've heard these things all over the place and time again. So the most one that's the most profound that everybody knows is the law of attraction. Although this law of attraction has so many different components to it that it would make your head actually spin. So when the movie The Secret came out years ago, I was fascinated by this movie. And before that movie, but there was a movie that was called What the Bleep. And in that movie, oh my goodness, that's where it kind of like started. Well, it didn't really start for me at that particular point, but it gave me a greater understanding about emotions, what emotions actually are in the body, the universe at large, quantum physics, these theories of relativity, what a particle to wave conversion was all about. Those things kind of sparked the movement, so to speak, for people to really get into understanding the conversions and, as the observer, understanding a particle converting from a wave and as it's observing you, that whole scientific part, it was the thing that just kind of sparked me. I've always been this science guy. I remember, my mother, she bought me a microscope, right? And I was on that thing. I don't even know when I stopped. Okay, they must have took it away from me because I just was fascinated about paramecium and these one cell. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here, but I just got to stay into this belief thing. So let's talk about the law of attraction, because this is really like one of these big components that everybody's like, the law of attraction, law of attraction. It's arguably the most well-known metaphysical law. It suggests that like attracts like. People's thoughts, conscious and unconscious, feelings and beliefs attract corresponding circumstances and events into their lives. This is so big. I can do a podcast on this itself, all right? Because we talk about vision boards, we talk about visualizations, we talk about see it, hear it, speak it, all these different things. Okay, there's a biblical principle that says, renew your mind daily. Old things have passed away. You're a new creature every single day. I'll say it to you again. Renew your mind daily. Old things have passed away. You are a new creation every single day. So you don't have to get bewildered and get trapped in ruminating the same thought again and again and again and again. You never move past that thought. It's been said that we have somewhere between, I don't know, 20 to 80,000 thoughts per day. I know that sounds like this extensive number, right? But at the same time, the majority of those thoughts, we actually have the same thoughts again and again and again. All right. But I'm just saying that it's been said we have somewhere between 20 to 80,000 thoughts per day. The majority of those things are the same thing we thought about yesterday. So we want to try to get a new system of belief, a new concept, so that you're not reliving the same day over again and again and again. What's the point? I mean, why would you get up out of bed if you think the same thing that's going to happen to you today is going to happen to you as it did yesterday? Why get up? That's another story in itself. Okay. But you got to understand that these are self-fulfilling prophecies. What's a self-fulfilling prophecy? As you think it, so it is. There's a book by Mr. Allen that's As a Man, as a Woman Thinketh. Read it if you haven't checked it out. Definitely check it out. It's important to understand that thoughts become things. Wait, Tabor. What you think about, you bring about. What you think about, you bring about. So if you don't like the things that are actually happening around you and to you, it's time to change your thought process. I'll take it back to me. Again, this is years ago, before I started getting into this metaphysical concept and the spirituality and self-development and self-help. The depth of it, meaning going really deep into it, to the conscious, subconscious, actually to the quantum level, and understanding energy in itself. By keeping it here, when we think about the things it is that we want, is called, well, you can be consciously aware of it or subconsciously aware of it. And the subconscious part of your mind is where the powerhouse actually is, all right? Again, just sticking with this law of attraction and how this thing actually works, where it's conscious and unconscious and feelings and beliefs attract corresponding circumstances, okay? For some reason, I've always loved cars. I mean, ever since I was a kid, like I used to watch Go Speed Racer and, Penelope Stop, and all those little cartoons that had anything to do with racing cars. I used to love to watch drag strips and, you know, racing, just these cars that just drive around the track for hours. There was just something about, there was fascination about the pit stops these guys would actually make. So I've always had this knack. I used to build these little model cars out of, clays, to buy cars, just something about cars. It was just about the movement, forward movement, that was really internalizing to me. All right. So with that being said, feelings and beliefs attract corresponding circumstances and events into our lives. What are you feeling? And what are you thinking? I'm going to mention 5 things: beliefs, thoughts, emotions, actions, results. Beliefs, thoughts, emotions, actions, results. Those are drivers. primary drivers. All right. Some people kind of dispel between whether beliefs become before thoughts or thoughts come before beliefs. You put in whatever way it is that you want, but your beliefs drive your thoughts drive your emotions drive your actions dictate your results. So if you don't have the results that you want, check your actions that's preceding those results and see where you're going wrong. And if you don't have the emotion to drive your actions, what are you thinking about? What are your thought processes? And if your thoughts aren't where they could be or should be, then what is it that you believe in? So when we talk about the self, who am I? Am I really who I say I am? And am I all that I ought to be? Who am I? What are my morals? What are my values? What's my code of conduct for myself? How do I see myself? How do I view myself? And how do I want others to view me as well? And is it important that others view me the way it is that I see that I would like for them to see me? It's important, but it ain't the end all be all. People can see you the way that they see you based on their perception, which is all part of beliefs as well, also. Because this belief thing is really, really intricate and it's really detailed. But outside of all of the stuff that's really associated with it, the real important part of this is to really understand that there are laws that govern this universe. And if you want a certain outcome, then you've got to understand what these laws are. So again, as I suggested, this law of attraction. Just keep in mind that we're going to have to probably go into this a lot more detail for the sake of time, because it's really an extensive one. And people talk about it all the time, vision boards and all these other different things and mind movies and so on and so forth. And we can definitely get into that, but I just want to get through what these laws are. All right. So here's another big one, the law of vibration. This law postulates that everything in the universe, including thoughts and feelings, is in a constant state of movement and vibration. All right. This law of vibration states that this law postulates that everything in the universe, including thoughts and feelings, is in a constant state of movement and vibration. When we think about energy, it's always moving in and out of form, can never be created, never be destroyed, always was, always will be. That's just energy. This is this vibration. So even though we think that we're sitting still for the most part, we understand that nothing rests. Everything is always in movement. We can get into every single one of these laws. And I have to remind myself to keep calm about this stuff because I get really excited about explaining this stuff. And I can really take off in a second and just be gone. All right. The idea is that similar vibrations are attracted to each other. Similar vibrations are attracted to each other. There's a thought that you have. There's the manifestation of the thought that you actually have. There's an intention that you actually have, a clear intention that you actually have. There's a field of infinite possibilities where everything is already in existence. This field of infinite possibilities. The manifestation of that thing is whether or not you can get on what that vibration of it actually is, drawing it to you with the heart, which is the magnetizing part, or repelling it based on what you think. If you think it won't happen for you, just to prove that you won't go crazy, it won't happen. But if you think it can and it will happen for you, and you're willing to do what it is that you must do in order for that to happen, then you will, and it shall within a period of time. It's not just going to pop up and just be here, although that can happen. But more than likely, there's something that you are going to have to do. But you don't have to do anything, but it's going to be a requirement of you to do something. Obviously, a little bit different than what you were doing before in order to get that thing or in order to draw that thing to you. All right. So there's a vibration. What level are you vibrating on? I remember for me, that if, let's say, for instance, when this movie, The Secret, came out, I'm telling you, this is a true story. When this movie, The Secret, came out, there was a car that I wanted. It was a BMW 540. It was a really nice car. It's crazy. I wanted this car, right? So what did I do? I went to the BMW dealership, like they said in the movie, go to the dealership. I kid you not, this is the truth. I went into this place. I told the story before in one of the previous videos, and it's not deviating from that because it's the truth. And I've been doing it ever since then. It's not just that it happens for materialistic things, because then you get past the materialistic things because your belief tends to grow. And there's something that's called the refractionary period. That's right. I said a refractionary period. And a refractionary period is usually a time that it takes for something to really recover, especially from cell development within the body. And if you really understand cell and cellular energy in the body, then you can understand how this refractionary period actually applies to everything. Because everything in the body is cell. There's 37 trillion cells in the body, plus some others, depending on the age that you actually are biologically. But when you get your cells online and your cells start to fire together, and you can communicate, because the cells communicate with each other. There's a whole harmonic system and rhythm within the body, and that's one of the universal laws as well that we're going to definitely get into. When your cells start to fire and wire together, there's something that's called neuroplasticity that's up inside here. And this is kind of a new phenomenon. It came around 1990s, somewhere early and on, probably prior to that. But when it really started to get notoriety was during the 1990s, late in the 1990s. And people really started grappling with this information and really breaking it down. And neurologists, for people who've had strokes and various things, what happens with a person who actually has a stroke is, the brain kind of shuts down for a period of time. Now, there's some medication that they actually have that actually opens up the blood vessels that's inside the brain to get the blood to start flowing again, so that the person can actually recover. But it's like the brain goes into a reset, depending on what's actually happening. When this is dependent on the type of stroke that you actually have also. So there's various types of strokes. And it's just important to understand that in this particular one that I'm talking about, neuroplasticity is the thing where you actually can bypass the damaged area. I'm telling you this because I actually did it. All right. You can bypass the damaged area and create a new neurological network of neurons that fire and wire together and bypass the area where the damage may have been. But you have to do it quick. You can't sit back and wait, because the brain is also figuring, hey, listen, if you don't use it, you lose it. But what happens with neuroplasticity is you get to create a new neurological network. I know you're like, how does all these different things happen? The reason why I'm saying that is because it doesn't have to be where you have a traumatic situation. Neuroplasticity is available for those who are healthy, just as well as those who are not. But the thing about it is, if you don't understand the process of it, how would you ever know? Because it's not something that's widely discussed. Even when I was looking into it, a neurologist is like, where are you getting this information from? And this is early on, real early on. I'm like, I got the same information, but they wanted to know where I was getting this information from, because it was kind of unheard of during this particular time. Information is out there. You heard me talking about this morphic field, right? And it's not some randomness that was out here. The information was documented, but we could talk about PhDs and master's degrees and all these other different things later on. Right now, I just want to finish up with these laws because it's really important. And my time has already gone by. 20 minutes went by just that quick. However, the law of cause and effect. Okay, the law of cause and effect, karma, often associated with Eastern philosophies. Okay, this law states that every action has its corresponding reaction and consequence. This law emphasizes personal responsibility for one's actions and their outcomes. Okay, so I'm going to read that one more time to you. Okay, the law of cause and effect, that is isolated to like karma. Okay, it's often associated with Eastern philosophies. This law states that every action has its corresponding reaction or consequence. This law emphasizes personal responsibility for one's actions and their outcomes. This is what I did with the law of cause and effect. And this is something that Mr. Dispenza was speaking in reference to. Instead of the law of cause and effect, what would happen if I caused the effect that I want? Instead of subjecting myself to the law of cause and effect, every action has its equal and opposite reaction. But what if I say, this is the action that I want, and I cause the effect for that, then I change it up just a little bit. And then I get the effect that I want because I caused it. That's an intention, a clear intention. And then you take a clear intention with an elevated emotion, which is gratitude, compassion, care, joy, love, enthusiasm, that blissful moment. When you take that and you associate it with a clear intention about what it is that you truly want, and you take that and then you release it out into this universe, and now you send it out on a vibration force, then you get to bring it back to you because your heart is magnetized. You always hear me talking about heart and brain coherence, and these are how these things actually happen. So if you want to know how my belief system was restructured and recalibrated epigenetically, because it's not so much about being subjected to what the cellular structure is, but it's going above the cellular structure and saying, I want the environment to actually restructure what it is that I want positively. I said it postulates something positive. All right. So the environment has the capacity to do that. When we talk about the morphic field, all these different things are interacted and they tie together. But if we don't really have the discussion about it, how will we know? And sometimes we have to go just a little bit deeper to really understand the full spectrum about what it is that we just don't understand or don't fully comprehend. And we don't want to seem like we just don't have it together. So we go along to get along without asking the questions and really understand the depth about who it is that we truly are. And my thing to you is, no, it's not so much that you have to learn something, it's that you have to unlearn and you have to remember who you truly are. And when you can remember who you truly are, all these things will start firing and wiring and come back together and come online. And then you get to live the true essence about who you really are. And it's not so much about the belief system, it's about understanding and knowing who you truly are and what's really possible for you, and understanding your gifts, talents, skills, and abilities, and that you were actually designed to have this life of abundance and not go through drudgery and struggle. And you can embrace your uniqueness and your oneness. All right. The law of correspondence. This principle holds that the patterns and the principles observed in a larger universe are also reflected in smaller scales, such as individual lives and communities. As it is above, so it is below. Listen, every cell in your body is a universe. Every cell in your body is a universe. We take it down to atoms, molecules, which goes into cellular structure goes into tissues, tissue goes into organs, organs goes into the systems of operating for the body. Each one of the cells. Okay, I'm doing my best to keep this like light because you'll know I could fire off in a second. Here's the deal, all right? When you go down to the quantum level of your body, the cellular structure, and understanding how energy actually is, and you start to change up the cellular structure of your body based on the information and the environment that you program it for, and you have the capacity to do that. You have the wiring within inside yourself. I do it. I've done it. And you can too. You go from living chronologically to living biologically within inside the body. All right. You go from living the chronological number of your life to living the biology of your body, which is reprogramming information. Okay. And all of these things are possible for you. The question is do you believe it? Because whether you do or you don't is what it is. It's not so much about what I say, it's what you believe. My thing is to exemplify the very things it is that we're talking about through demonstration. All right. We talked about pro bodybuilding. We talked about radical transformation within the body. We talk about nutrition. We talk about sleep. We talk about supplementation. We talk about peptides. We talk about cellular structure. We talk about epigenetics. We talk about how to really create this life that people dream of. How about this? How about wake up and live the dream instead of just staying in this dream state? I'm just dreaming. I'm just dreaming. No, you can wake up and live the dream and understand that there's a process to it. All right. So I just spoke about the law of correspondence. This principle holds that there are patterns and principles observed in the larger universe are also reflected on smaller scales. The smaller scale is out of the large universe are the cellular structures within your body. Everybody has it. If you could just embrace the concept and just realize that you were designed to live this life of abundance and just joyfulness and not drudgery. Because if you think it is, if you think it's not, you're right. You're right. As it is above, so it is below. As it is within, so it is without. You've heard this, but do you really understand what that really means? Here's another one. The law of oneness. The law of oneness suggests that everything in this universe is connected and that separation is an illusion. The law underlines the interconnectedness of all things. Everything in this universe is connected. We are all connected energetically within this universe, okay? There's a spectrum of light that we actually see. And there's a spectrum that we can actually hear by, and there's more to what we actually see because we just forgot how to actually see. The first 7 years of a child, you see babies just kind of looking up and gazing. We have no idea what these kids are seeing, although every single person did come through that same process of growth. And we look at kids and we try to figure out like they're just babies, especially those first to 6 or 7 years when these kids have no, all they want to do is just be themselves. Okay. They just want to explore. They want to have fun. They live in their own little world. And you remember, hopefully you remember, you can go back when you was a kid. All you wanted to do was play. You had an imagination that was beyond anything that was in this world. You took mud and you made mud into a pie. You took your action figures. Like I said in the very beginning of this, I used to these race cars. Yeah, I was about to blow myself up over here. Okay. I love speed. Okay. There's something about driving a car, and I will keep talking about it because it's the truth. That's just always fascinated me. The engine, especially these guys pull up in these pit stops and they 4 or 5 seconds and they changing 4 tires, oil change, wiping the windshield off, changing brake. They do all kinds of, but because it's a team and these guys work synergistically, energetically together. They harmonize. That's that interconnectedness. They are one. They operate as one. That whole team, each one of them have a specific job to do, and they do it to excellence, perfection. All right. You talk about flow state, which is something else that we'll get into later on, because all of these different things are interconnected. That interconnectedness, that oneness is the law of oneness. When that team gets together to change everything up on that car and that guy's out of there in 4 or 5 seconds, it takes people an hour and a half to change the tire in some cases, but these guys do it in seconds, and those seconds count. Anyway, that's part of the refractionary period that we're talking about. Because if everything is energy and if everything is energy and you can really understand it and take that concept on, then you'll realize that there is just this one thing called energy. And we are energy. We are this universe. There's the divine part within us. The male, the feminine, masculine, feminine energy is all intertwined in one. It just is. Okay, you can fight it as much as you want and delay things as long as you choose to, but when you choose to accept that, you'll see things a little bit different. Let's talk real quick about the law of rhythm. This law states that all of life, and indeed the universe, moves in cycles and rhythms, akin to the seasons, cycles of growth and decay, and patterns of change. Earlier, I just said, going from the chronological time to living from the biology of the body, the quantum energy within inside your body. There's electricity that actually runs. If it wasn't, they wouldn't use different types of monitors to read the type of electricity that you actually have within your body. You ever got static electricity, you shock somebody, you just touch them, or you really connected to somebody, you're boo, and you'll touch each other and you get that little spark. Listen, all of that stuff is that interconnectedness, that oneness, especially when you meet one. And I'm not talking about rubbing your feet back and forth on the floor and getting that charge up in the body, and then you get that pop, or you take something, the static electricity out of the dryer, and all of a sudden you pulling things apart and you see the static electricity. I don't know, you ever seen anything like that? You'll probably got those super hydrant dryers, so you'll miss that stuff, or use the little dryer sheets. I'm not even going to talk about those little dryer sheets. However, those things, that same thing is what I'm talking about here. The law states that all of life, and indeed the universe, moves in cycles and rhythms, akin to seasons, cycles of growth and decay, and patterns of change. We have 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. It seems like they all intertwine. It seems like I'm just waiting for the day when it starts snowing in the summer. Then you know something's really going on. We get, during the winter used to be winter, okay? But now we get a little bit of spring in the winter. Some days we might even hit a little bit of summer in the winter, depending on what month it is and what's actually going on. It makes you really kind of wonder what in the world is going on. 60, 70-degree weather in winter, like between December and March. Or it used to snow all the time. Now it's like you can get seasons when it's like it didn't even snow, or maybe you got a couple of inches depending on what's going on. Or it's starting to snow in other places and starting to get warm in other places. Talking about climate change. That's another story. The cycle of death and life. Nobody gets out of life alive. Everybody's got to check out at some point or another. But what you can do, and you have the opportunity to do, is live the life that you were designed to live. Listen, one of the biggest components to having longevity for life is sleep. Okay. And I mean, serious sleep. The reason why it's important for you to get sleep, if you're talking about having a belief in what it is that you truly want to believe, you have to have the right mindset and the physicality and the physiological structure within your body to do the things it is that you truly desire to do. How would you do that without resting your body? How would you create that without resting your mind? See, if the mind is constantly running, the heart is constantly running, the body doesn't really get a chance to shut down and rebuild, restore, and repair, then how are you going to create the things it is that you truly desire to have? You have to be able to shut the body down, rest, recover, and repair, and pleasure. And then you can come back. All right. So we're talking about the nervous system. Now, I'm always talking about those two nervous systems, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, where we're in constant fight, flight, freeze, or hide when we're in the sympathetic nervous system. When we're in the parasympathetic nervous system, rest, digest, relax, and pleasure. It's the parasympathetic nervous system. Sleep, digest, metabolize food, proper minerals. I'll tell you this one real quick, okay? MCT oil. I don't know if you all know about this or not, but you talking about getting your brain on fire and getting your brain right. MCT oil. I'll talk more about the nutritions and the values and certain vitamins and supplementation that we should be taking within our body, because most of the food that's actually out here in these here states, is GMO. That's genetically modified organisms. All right. We're consuming this stuff. You ever walk into the store and see an avocado that's like a grapefruit? And it's like, why? Bananas, this like crazy. And we're sitting here we're consuming this food, and then we can't understand why we have brain fog and why we can't seem to get a clear idea about what it is that we truly want, or why we're struggling to just live daily. All right. So understanding that law of rhythm is really important to get, and everything moves in cycles. All right. Next thing, the law of polarity. This principle, postulates that everything has an opposite, and that opposites are actually different manifestations of the same thing. For example, heat and cold are the same phenomenon and at different degrees. All right, which is cool. We definitely understand that. And the same goes for love and hate, or peace and war. All right, so they're just opposites of the same thing, just like heads and tails on the same coin. They're opposites. All right. So there's no different. But if you can grapple with that and you can understand it and dissect it and digest it, I just told you two things: sympathetic to parasympathetic. Understand what to do in each one of those different dichotomies right there. What do? Are you constantly under stress? You think somebody's really coming to get you? Somebody's always checking you. Somebody always wants you. I'm not talking about social media, your ex and, your divorced person. Listen, you ain't got to be, you don't think about them and you keep living your life. Don't worry about them thinking about you. You keep on moving and doing your thing. If you wanted to still be there, I guess your behind would still be there, but you're not. So keep it moving. Hint. Y'all understand what I'm talking about, right? Keep going. Don't get trapped up in what was already done. You ain't there for a reason. Keep moving. You understand? That's what that's all about. Look, understand that those polarities are different, but they're the same thing. Just like I said, heads and tails on a coin, same thing. Hot and cold, same thing, just different temperature variations. Love and hate, same thing. All right, just opposite sides of it. So just understand that these different things actually come into the law of polarity when we're thinking about the things it is that we truly desire to have, okay? The law of relativity suggests that everything is relative and that there's nothing is good or bad until it is compared to something else. Every life challenge is an opportunity for growth, and it's only difficult or easy in relation to another thing, all right? So that's the law of relativity. There's no such thing as good or bad. I know it's kind of hard to accept. It was hard for me to accept in the very beginning of it too, but whether I say it's good or whether I say it's bad is based on what I say it is. I give it that authority to say what's good or what's bad. And if I keep saying everything that's either meant to happen for me, it's supposed to happen to me, and it does happen for me. Listen to what I said, not to me, for me. It's happening for me. And if I can accept the things that are happening for me, I can grow into, I can become more than. I see perceptually different. My level of awareness has changed. So the perspectives of how I see things, my imagination is brighter, it's wider, it sees more because it understands more, because I am more aware than I was then. As long as I stay in a predictable past, I'll never be able to move into the future of where it is that I'm going. And how do I get to the future? By being here now, right here, right now. And I can create the future that it is that I truly desire to have. But I can't get so fascinated on the future things that I miss the now. But if I can allow myself to be in the now and be okay in this space and place and just work from this place and space, because this is what I'm supposed to be doing at this time, and I'm in order and I'm in harmony with the truth, justice, balance, order, propriety, reciprocity. I'm doing the thing it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And now my life reflects that. Why? Because I have this thing called peace and I have this thing called tranquility. And earlier on in my life, I compromised my peace. I gave it up because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. No, 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 no. You ain't supposed to ever, 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 never, ever, ever give your peace up. Why? Because it's the hardest thing to get back. And sometimes you don't. And if you do try to go back and get it, it takes years for you to get. Sometimes you never get it back. Never do that again. And by the grace of God, I've been able to get it back and reclaim it. And now peace is mine. And I ain't ever giving up my peace for nothing. There's nothing that's in this world worth me giving my peace up for. And if somebody actually give your peace up for their benefit, keep it moving. That's an indication. Not even a red light. That's a, man, listen, you understand what I'm saying, right? Look, all right, so listen, I got to keep this thing moving, all right? The law of gender. This law postulates that masculine and feminine principles are present in all things and that the balance and integration of these aspects are necessary for creation and harmony. Let me hit you with that one more time. The law of gender, the law postulates that masculine and feminine principles are present in all things and that the balance of integration of these aspects are necessary for creation and harmony, okay? In man is woman and woman is man. Woman could have never come out of man. Man could have never been part of woman. You understand that whole thing. You're not, listen, you need to remember. You've got to remember, okay? Remember. Remember who you are. Remember the oneness. Remember what's the divinity that's within inside you, the God spirit that's in here that makes you who it is that you are, your spirit, your drive, your desires, your heart sense, your being, your oneness. Listen, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. This principle suggests that energy always is in motion and can be transformed from one form to another. It highlights the potential for change and the ability to transmute negative energies into positive ones. Okay? Look, the law of perpetual transmutation. It's always moving in and out of form. You have the power to create and to do that, to transform it from one thing to another. Transmutation. The potential for change, the ability for the potential for change, and the ability to transmute a negative into a positive. This is how my belief system changed. When I stopped thinking about all the negative things that was happening to me, and I took it on and I said to myself, there's got to be something positive here. I just got to find it. And then you start to realize that instead of looking for the negatives, you start to find the positives because you stop focusing on the negative. What you pay attention to expands. What you pay attention to expands. So if you're focusing on negative, guess what you'll always find? Negative. If you think people can't stand you, guess what? People can't stand you because you'll actually participate in creating that same thing for people to not like you. These days, I could care less. Seriously. There was a time when I was like, you wanted, as a matter of I mentioned this story before, and I always think about it. I was a young guy rising up in 21st century restaurants back in the day. Came in, I was that young cat. I was ambitious, desired, and the one I didn't know. And what I wanted people to do was just like me for who it was that I was. Just like me. I didn't want to do and I didn't want to say anything that was going to get anybody upset as a manager. I just wanted people to just kind of like me for me. I didn't want to get anybody upset. Come on, everybody, let's just get along. Let's go along. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. But what I was not doing as a manager was I was not delegating. And my job was to delegate as a manager. And it's anybody's job as a manager is to delegate or a person who's in a position of leadership. Now, mind you, I was only 16 years old. I was only here for 16 hours. But my potential was so great that I was, moving really fast. And I was always on the accelerated course because I just looked at things from that way. I had a great group of people that was around me that particular time. And those same people are still around and they're doing some magnificent things as well as I. And we're just impacting this world in such a way that the world can actually be a better place for not just for me. I'm not like singing like Michael Jackson or anything, but the world will be a better place just by you showing up, doing the thing it is that you were designed to do. And that's impact the world. And that's what my thing is, designed to do, to impact the world with my uniqueness and who it is that I am. And I struggled with that in the very beginning because I was just trying to be this perfect person. Perfectionism, no such thing. Wasted a lot of time doing that. But did I really waste the time or did I really learn? I think I was in an incubator period. I keep saying this for a period of time. Oh, wow. Anyway, let me get back on track here. Look, so understand that this law of perpetual transmutation is really what it's all about. This principle, again, suggests that energy is always in motion and can be transformed from one form to another. It highlights the potential for change and the ability to transmute negative energies into positive ones. All right. So listen, I want to finish up with this thing right here. These metaphysical laws are often used in spiritual and self-help, okay? And the context is to guide individuals towards a greater understanding of who they really are and personal growth, okay? And to live in a harmonious life. However, it's important to note that these laws are not universally accepted or validated by empirical scientific research. I had to say it because this is what they say it is. However, the exemplification of these things that are based on my life that I'm living radically transforms and transformations into something completely different. Once you learn how to create a repetitive system, then it's your science and your science. Because as science is right now, science and spirituality, these two are really coming together and bridging this gap between what was and what wasn't at this particular time. But you create your own science and you create your own laws. I decided I was going to do my own litmus test on myself based on the results that I wanted. And every time I sit in this seat and I look around in this space and place, there was a time there was absolutely nothing here, like nothing. Nothing. And I sit down sometime and I just laugh because when we talk about abundance, it's the type of abundance that we don't even recognize, because we get so disenfranchised with what we think abundance actually is. But what is the abundance of wisdom? What is the abundance of peace? What is the abundance of rest and restoration? What is the abundance of health? What is the abundance of connectedness in a relationship with someone that you truly love to be with and who truly loves to be with you? And you can be abundantly together and live this harmonious life because you're in rhythm. You're in sequence with each other. And your ebb is that person's flow, and that person is your ebb. That person's up is your down, and your down is that person's up, and your in is that person's out, and that person's out is your in. And what does that create? Constant movement, no stagnation, no limitation. You can live the life you truly deserve. And the thing about that is, yeah, it's great to share with another person. But you know what's even greater? When you have that within inside yourself. Because as I said before, you have male and female within. However it is that you choose to slice up this pie, whatever slice of pie you want to eat, it's all good. But the bottom line is when you have that peace and that restoration inside yourself, and you start to solutionize your life, and you find out that the life that you were trying to live is also trying to find you to express itself through you because of this universe that we actually live in. And when you connect and allow yourself to be connected to the oneness of the universe that we live in, and you allow yourself to grow through the cycles, that this abundant life that we try to express, and we try to cause the effect of having that life to live, we realize it's a beautiful rhythmic thing that goes on and is harmonious. And it allows us to be the best version of ourselves, the true self, because our identity comes online. And now we have systems of operation, and we have models of reality. And then we have these habits that we can follow through that just sit here and say, hey, I'm waiting for you to do. We can do this every day. You can wake up I could wake up every single day. And I look out my window and I see the sky. and I see my trees that's sitting out there, and it's a new day. And I get to make that day whatever it is that I say that I want that day to be. Yeah, there's going to be some challenges that make me stronger. Nothing to knock me off kilter. Nothing that's going to disrupt my flow besides disruption that's set along intentions. Because as soon as you set an intention, disruption comes to see how sincere you truly are, to have the thing it is that you truly desire. But if you're really sincere about what is it you truly desire, and you cooperate with this universe and you step into this field of infinite possibilities and you connect with the clear intention and the elevated emotion and you decide that it's not just about me, but I want to impact the world. You think that this universe, you think that divine intervention, you think that the God energy is not going to come and support you. Well, if it doesn't, that's because you didn't think it would. I believe it does. I know I've lived it. I know I experienced, and it's not just about me, but it's overcoming and crushing the limited beliefs that you actually have about who you truly are. And I definitely have a program for that called Crush Your Limiting Beliefs. Clyde Rush, CRUSH Crush, you get it? Anyway, oh my goodness. Ooh, I got two claps on that one. So look, I'm going to talk about this refractionary period because not now, because it's time to go. And I got to do what it is that I got to do. And I appreciate each of y'all for being here. I thought this was going to, I know. Y'all know by now, I say 20 minutes and it's never 20 minutes. I'm going to surprise you one day. Exactly which one? I don't know, but it ain't today. So look, check this out, right? Be your true self. We talk about the best version of myself and be your true self. Your true self is enough, more than enough. Show up and be you. Like, there ain't nobody perfect out here, but the true you is more than enough. And guess what? If they don't accept you for you, that's their problem, not yours. You don't have to make anybody see the value that you bring to something. Show up. And when you show up, make it known that you're there, not because you're making noise, but because you impact the space and place when you step in. Like, you step into a room, it's just like, whoa, who just came in here? Because the whole environment changes. Because of your frequency, energy, and vibration, you can impact the space and place that you step into just by being you. All right, so listen. With that being said, all I want to say to you is peace, blessings, prosperity, and abundance. Namaste. You enjoy the rest of your day. One love to you all. I'm out. Peace.